Hello and welcome to the Rockies Now podcast. My name is Steven. Tom is to my right. Adam's not here today. He's doing an errand, so he's off the pod tonight. But thank you for watching tonight to the podcast. Tom, we have baseball back officially because last week we were recording right before the Friday opener against Arizona. So, Tom, it's so good to have baseball back, right?
Just all good in the sunny states of Arizona or Florida. So everything's underway. Now it's just enjoying some baseball that, unfortunately, I hate to say it doesn't really matter truly to the grand scheme, but the season will be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's so good to see nice weather. I mean, here in Colorado, we're starting to get 60, 70-degree temperatures where a week ago we had snow and it was just freezing cold. So it's nice to have warmer baseball-like temperatures all around. Sign of spring coming to Colorado, but we know, especially if you live in the Colorado area or the Rocky Mountain region, you know that winter's not done yet. We're probably going to get a dumping of snow in March like it generally does, but who cares? Well, let's think about baseball. Um, how about those Rockies, Tom? I mean, 6-1-1 heading into tomorrow's game. The Rockies' most recent game was today. They shut out the Dodgers 2-0, and I guess we can start celebrating and start thinking about buying some playoff tickets for October. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, the Rockies, they've looked good. I know it's only spring training, and I'm going to drink the purple Kool-Aid here a little bit, but just based off of what I've seen over the last 6 to 7 days, I look at the pitching staff, and it's been okay. There's been a couple of games where the pitching may have been a little bit rough, especially that first game. Gave up, I believe it was 8 runs to Arizona. Um, and yeah, other than that, I think the pitching has been okay. It's not been horribly bad. There's been a couple rough outings. Jaden Hill had a rough outing, I think, against the A's the other day in the split squad game. Um, but today, Bradley Blaylock got 6 strikeouts in the game against the Dodgers. Gabriel Hughes, he was on point. He's looking great after returning from Tommy John surgery. Um, and yeah, I mean, even Ryan Rolison, this is a guy that has been struggling with injuries for the last several years, who was drafted first overall, not first overall, but then first round in 2018 by the Rockies. He got to pitch a little bit today. He looked good. So vibes are up within the Rockies pitching staff to open spring training. And of course, we're going to talk about the pitchers tonight. But yeah, offensively, the Rockies offense has looked good. Today, they only scored 2 runs, and the Rockies faced most of the Dodgers bullpen guys today. But it's been great. Tyro Estrada, he's having a good start to spring training. I believe he's like 5 for 8 so far this spring. Zach Veen, he's having a good camp so far. Kyle Karros, Rockies prospect. I know Blake Street Banner loves him. We all love him as well. He's off to a hot start. He's actually leading the Rockies in camp in hits. And this is a guy that I think a lot of Rockies fans should be excited about. And this was a guy, I think I want to say Karros was drafted later than the 5th round. It was right around 5th, 6th, or 7th. A couple years ago out of UCLA. But yeah, he's looking good. So Tom, vibes are up. So what have been your thoughts over the last week for the Rockies?
Well, it's good to see no serious injuries have come up so far. So knock on wood, it stays that way for a good amount of I don't want to say for the whole season because we unfortunately know the injuries are going to start to come. Everyone seems fine. Nobody seems off completely. I think it's if my math was correctly, in 8 games the pitching staff's allowed less than 30 runs. I think it was 27 if I remember my count
Mm-hmm.
correctly. So that's good. I think it was Blaylock leads the team in innings. I think he's got just under 5. So that's good to see. Again, there's not too much that really just strikes you like it's crazy, but no one seems to be out of shape or out of tune. So everyone looks good so far. And on offense, there were some good moments. I mean, obviously the battering of the White Sox was a fun one to watch. And, this is coming from your resident White Sox fan. Um, like, as I told you in our pre-show meeting, I didn't really care. I'm indifferent. It's in spring training game. And when you see a lopsided affair like that, it's always a good smirk or chuckle, depending what your sense of humor level is. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, altogether, the vibes seem to be good. Everybody seems to be going well, and like you said, Nolan Jones seems to be feeling better and hopefully his injury. And in the back of my mind, hopefully his injury doesn't turn into a chronic one from because we know how bad that can get. And last but not least, who was it? Somebody? I think it was either the Rockies official page or somebody. When Chris Bryant belted that home run, somebody put, I think it was about 10 rocket emojis on there or
Yeah,
retweet.
yeah.
And then somebody also did a video from a big home run he hit back in his Cubs days, and then they did it like back in the day, how things were
Mm,
back in the day, and then now. So that was pretty
yeah.
comical.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Bryant, man, of course that'll be coming in the next few weeks to talk about, him in the season preview, but he's been doing well, but again, it's just spring training. You can't get your hopes up too high. Um, but yeah, Zach Veen, man, he's the real deal so far, and now we have a real competition for the right field spot. Jordan
Mhm.
Beck, Zach Veen. I think a lot of us as Rockies fans are concerned that if there's an injury there with Veen or Beck, fingers crossed, hopefully that doesn't happen. The Rockies are going to go the JK route to where they let Nick Martini, who has been okay this spring, but he's 35 years of age. The Rockies need to go younger on this roster, and I think they know that. We just don't want them to make that move and say, "Oh, we're going to go to Nick Martini here to be our starting right fielder." I'd much rather have Sam Hilliard in right field than Nick Martini, but still, you need a Jordan Beck, Zach Veen in that lineup, especially with the explosive pop that Veen has. Um, you'll take either or seriously. So again, like you said, we just needed these guys to stay healthy. Um, and yeah, it's a good start. It's a good vibe, and this is what builds character, builds confidence in a team like the Rockies to shut out the Dodgers with their lineup. Of course, the Dodgers played a couple of their young players today, but the first few guys were Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman played for the first time this spring today. He was DHing and coming off of, I believe, that ankle injury this offseason. And Shohei, I think reportedly, according to the Dodgers broadcast today, will be playing tomorrow, if I remember that correctly. So, but yeah, good game today. I I think tomorrow the Rockies play the Cleveland. I'll have to take a look at the schedule, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. Before we start getting into the grind of today's episode, the meat of it, I just want to say it's been awesome hearing all the love from you all because just the other day we celebrated 6 years of Rockies Now. This is something that actually got. I was just notified like the night before we posted our post on X and Instagram and Threads that oh yeah, tomorrow's our 6 year anniversary. Um, and we just want to say we greatly appreciate you all, and we are excited for what's ahead for Rockies Now. Content's going to be great. It's going to get better, and we have some exciting stuff coming up. We won't share it, but maybe next year we'll plan on doing a trip or something like that. Maybe do a major league ballpark. I guess I'll spoil it, but yeah, but it's going to be fun, and you don't want to miss the fun stuff coming up. And in terms of podcast, I think I want to say that next week we'll be bringing on Lewis from AKA Mike, if you want to call him Mike, from Blake Street Banner. He'll be coming on, I believe, next week or the week after
Mhm.
to talk Rockies baseball, Rockies prospects. So we're looking forward to that. And then the next couple of weeks we'll be doing our predictions, or I should say, ranking slash standing predictions for baseball this year. So it's gonna be awesome. We got Mr. Titus Vodnik, who I believe is the brother of Mr. Victor. The pitching today was electric by the young guys. Kinley looked solid. Yeah, and speaking of Kinley, I think the Rockies broadcast mentioned it the other day in the broadcast that it looks like he got a new pitch. it was like some sort of curveball, like an 86, 87 mile per hour pitch. It was nasty. And like like somebody was saying, you just don't want to see that get pummeled at Coors Field when you leave that up and hang one. But it looked good, man. And the Rockies, they've been making some new pitches. Makes me curious. They've been doing that down at the lab in Scottsdale. But Kinley looked good. So yeah, it's been great. Um, so yeah, Titus, welcome on in. Thank you for commenting. But yeah, it's again, it's been great.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's nice to know. It's nice to see a family member joining our live stream. Not to say we haven't had anybody joining our live stream in the past, but it is a nice welcome enjoyment.
Hmm.
But I think one thing I'll add about the grinder spring training as we start here is it's good to see that guys are being disciplined. Also, I've noticed that a little bit in the highlights that I've been watching. Um, so hopefully everyone is maintained discipline and maintains focus, even though everybody we know what everyone's saying about the Rockies as far as record projections are going. So it can be tough to come back to the ballpark with the same mindset after so many losses. So, but like I said, the drive for 90 is on, or the also the drive for fourth place is in the division is on too.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
But
So
we'll talk more
speaking
about.
of, yeah,
No, sorry, we'll talk more about that in our
yeah.
predictions as they come up close.
Well, speaking of the Rockies, I believe tonight content will be coming out on MLB Network. So if you have MLB Network on your TV, I think the guys over at MLB Network, or at least a couple of the guys, are going to be at Rockies camp. So they'll
Was
be doing interviews, I think. So that should be
I
fun. So stay tuned for that.
I think also Ryan McMahon was on MLB Network.
Yeah, this morning on
Mhm.
Hot Stove. Go check that out. That was a really cool interview. So that should be on MLB website or on the MLB app if you have that. So go check that out if you can. So let's get into, like I said, the meat of things for tonight's episode. So uh, we're gonna talk about the pitchers, and this one, this one's a little bit more of one that was like, oh boy. Um, and as Rockies fans, we kind of do that, especially since over the 30 plus years of this franchise, we haven't had a whole lot of pitching success, minus a few years when we've gone to the playoffs. But this year, will it be different? Well, let's get into it. So we released our projected starting rotation a few weeks ago. On Fangraphs, it's pretty similar. Maybe switched around a little bit with a couple of the guys, but as of right now, Fangraphs has Marquez the number one starter. Then it's Feltner, Freeland, Senzatella, and Gomber. Not a bad listing, but I think just given the injury history of Herman Marquez, I think you would probably have to go with Freeland at number one. And that's why we ranked him number one. Now, again, this could be different. This could change. Marquez did look good the other day in his first outing of camp, but we're basing just based off of just injury history, and we still need to see Marquez healthy. We're gonna have Freeland be the opening day starter for the Rockies. Um, Ryan Feltner number two is interesting. I think it's gonna be Marquez. Just again, the talent there, and when Marquez is healthy, he's definitely a number two starter, even a number one. But I think you can easily say that Marquez and Freeland are or I should say Freeland and Marquez are your number one and two guys. I agree with Ryan Feltner being at number three, and I'm looking at our list now on Fangraphs, but I like Feltner at three. Two is a little bit too high for me, but I think Feltner fits at number three. Um, then Fangraphs has Senzatella at four. Um, I think Senzatella could have a bounce back year. However, Senzatella is very much a pitch to contact guy. He's not a strikeout guy. Gomber is very much the same type of player. However, Gomber has a pretty good curveball when placed right. I would switch Gomber and Senzatella. I would have Gomber at number four and Senzatella at number five, like what we have in our projected rotation. But overall, I agree with this list, or at least the players or pitchers that are going to be in the rotation. Um, and if you saw our projected rotation post from a few weeks ago, we also put a couple guys that are in the bubble to potentially make that rotation because, hey, Bud Black and Bill Schmidt mentioned a few weeks ago at Rockies Fan Fest and even during the winter meetings that, hey, Dollander, Palmquist, they might be guys that might be on this rotation. Maybe even Bradley Blaylock, who has looked good so far this spring and has some umph to his pitches. So there's always a possibility there, but I think, Tom, we can agree with this this rotation, other than the rankings that Fangraphs has.
Well, no matter which between Marquez and Freeland, if whichever one of them starts opening day, if that is the case, this will be the 7th straight year in which either one of them is the opening day starter. If for either, no matter which one it is, also it'll be their 4th opening day, and obviously, as we know, this will be Kyle Freeland's second. This will be his 2nd year in a row, as we all know. He had the unfortunate opening day start that did not go well in Arizona last year. I do agree with the rankings, but one thing I will say, as far as where guys fall and everything, it wouldn't surprise. Now, again, this is not a bold prediction, but a wild theory. It wouldn't surprise me if Gomber is the 4th starter, because I don't know if they want to have so many right-handed pitchers in a row. Because if you start Freeland opening day, then you have Marquez, Feltner, Senzatella, 3 straight righties. So maybe they'll move Gomber up to 4 and then flip-flop, having a lefty in between Feltner and Senzatella. Maybe also that could depend on the game 4 and 5 of the season matchups, who's the projected starter. Who could be projected to be in the lineup. So we'll see. But again, it wouldn't surprise me that's the final 4. Sorry, final 5. I'm getting into March Madness fair with the final 4 talk. Sorry. That's the start. That's the starting 5. But I will say Hank Blaylock, or start. Did I just call him the wrong name again?
Hey, I love that name.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna add that name there.
I'm sorry. Bradley Blaylock, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I don't know why I screwed that up again. All I will tell him is be at the ready, whether it's a starter has an abbreviated star, or again, because remember, Senzatella is coming off a lengthy injury. That's, I don't want to say injured list stay, but he's been out for he hasn't pitched much in a considerable amount of time. So I would tell him just be ready to pitch on specifically his start days. Or just be ready, because if God forbid somebody goes down again, just be ready to pitch. Same thing I would say for Tanner Gordon as well. But Blaylock is obviously going to be first man up as far as covering for somebody, whether it's a start or a lengthy appearance out of the pen. But I do like this. I do like what they have, considering all. So again, I think I said this in one of our off-season podcasts. It would have been nice if they traded for maybe a 5th starter if they could. I don't know exactly what was out there. I mean, I'm not saying we go back to the well inside Kyle Quantrill again, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But again, I don't know what the official budget was. But again, I do like what we have so far. So I had no disagreement as far as who is going to be in the spots when the season starts. No injuries precluded too.
Well, the Rockies, they're in a much better spot than they were a couple years ago in 2022 when they had 0 depth. I mean, they had guys like Peter Lambert be a backup starter, and Lambert, he's still out, he's still out there.
And so is his brother. And so is his brother Jimmy.
Right, and who played for your White Sox.
Correct, exactly.
And so it's not a knock on those 2 guys or Peter, but it's just the Rockies. They're in a much better place now where they have guys in their system that can pitch. And Gabriel Hughes, I project him to be in Hartford. I don't think we're gonna see the Rockies move as fast on him as they do with Dollander, just because of the injury. But Sean Sullivan, who we have yet to see this spring, I'm sure we'll see him at some point, maybe later this spring. But yeah, Palmquist, who I don't think we've seen yet. Maybe we will in the next few days. But yeah, we finally have depth there, man. And I hereby would like to. I think we should do this. I like your Hank Blaylock. Like, maybe that's his nickname. Like, just call him Hank. The Hank. There you go.
Bradley, I think I gave you a nickname. We can call him Bradley Hank Blaylock.
Wow. Yeah, the Hank man. Let's do that, Hank man. I love it. But No, like I think
We should
the
reach out.
Rocky.
We should reach out to him and get his seal of approval for that, if we
Let's do
can.
it.
If we can. Well,
Let's
anyway.
do it. Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, but go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like it's the Rockies. They have that depth now, and it's so nice to see where, going back even before 2022, 2019, when the Rockies had a bunch of injuries with John Gray. I think Marquez was hurt as well, but we had a bunch of random guys start for us. And of course, Peter Lambert was called up earlier in the season, I think in May,
Mm-hmm.
to pitch. But I'm trying to. What was that guy that we that used to pitch? Was it for Atlanta? Now I think he pitched in the internet, either in Japan or somewhere else. I'm trying to remember his name.
Was it a
Um,
starter? Was it a
yeah,
starter?
he was a starting pitcher. He was more on the
Um,
heavier side. Maybe Lux in the comments will remember his name.
he might.
Um,
Just real quick side comment here.
yeah,
There's still a decent. There's some well-known names still out there, like Lance Lynn is still out there, on the free
yeah.
agent market. Well, hey, here's something that if we signed him, we may get a lot of blowback for that one. Patrick Corbin is still out there.
Well, I don't anticipate him
Uh,
getting signed anytime
and
soon.
and then there's Kyle Gibson. Here's one that I'm really still shocked. How is Jose Quintana still not signed? The guy has been
Yeah,
very
he was
extremely.
good last year for the Mets. Yeah,
Yeah, for the last several years, he has pitched over 160 innings in each of the last 5 years, and he had a ERA under 4 the last 3. So I don't. Again, he doesn't have the electric fireball arm, but you don't. It's okay to have a crafty pitcher, especially at Coors Field where you focus a lot on ground balls.
yeah. Well, okay, so it wasn't okay. So Chichi Gonzalez, Rocky legend.
Oh,
That was not the guy I was thinking of, but he
oh.
was one of the guys that he was kind of in that spot, and he actually stayed for the Rockies for several more years, up until 2021, I believe.
I saw him pitch.
Um,
I saw him pitch live twice.
yeah, and yeah, I just remember a lot of the people in our Rockies group chat
Mhm.
wasn't a huge fan of him. Let's just say that. Um, I'm trying to see here. Tim Melville, that's the name I was thinking of. Tim Melville.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember
He
him
was
now.
not that, like he was not that bad if I remember correctly. He actually had a good start against Arizona in Arizona, I think in 2019. He was kind of a random guy that we just randomly signed. I don't think he was on a minor league deal for the entire season until the Rockies just randomly picked him up. But
I'll look it up. I'll see what I can find. But he had
yeah.
he had some moments.
Yeah, like according to this, he was 26 when he broke into the major leagues in 2016 with the Reds.
Mhm.
Let me see if I can find. And I'm looking on
Um,
Baseball Almanac.
I think I
Um,
think I think we might have got him off the waiver wire.
yeah, because I just remember it was very very sudden. Okay, so he
Oh,
was
it was a minor league deal.
minor league deal. Yeah, so in 2019 he was 30 years old. He started 7 games for the Rockies. He went
Mhm.
2-3 with a 4.86 ERA, 33 innings pitched with. Let me see here. How many strikeouts did he have? He had 14 walks and
Mhm.
24 strikeouts. So real Rockies fans will remember Tim Melville. So that was one of the guys I was thinking of. So
Maybe that's a future option for name that Rocky.
yeah, I mean, hey, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
next off season when we
or
do
maybe
name
for
name that Rocky. Yeah,
or maybe Trivia Tuesday, I'll throw in a Tim Melville question.
yeah, let's do that.
I'm
But
gonna write that down. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do that. That I really have to go to the well for that one.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but Lux. I have no interest in Marcus Stroman.
yeah. Well, he's still in the Yankees, and yeah. So
Or or
I don't think. I mean, he would be an interesting guy to have at Coors Field. He would be a guy that I think could maybe do well at Coors Field, just given his tenacity. Of course, there's one ball player or one pitcher we won't mention his name, but we know that he could potentially do okay at Coors Field, or that could try to tackle Coors Field, but we won't mention his name because we've already
yeah,
mentioned him multiple times on the podcast.
yeah. His name has been blackballed from the podcast.
Yeah, it's banned, canceled. Um,
Yeah, canceled.
cancel,
It's at the what's it called? The stamp of cancellation.
cancellation. So yeah, but moving on to the bullpen. So I think we all can agree that the rotation is
Mhm.
pretty much set. Again, like we said, Dollander, Palmquist, maybe Sleeper Hughes would be a selection in the later of the season. But again, the Rockies, they finally have that depth. And
Maybe we might get a spot start from Anthony Molina. Maybe.
yeah, if there's an injury, or if he,
Correct.
or if, let's just say somebody's not doing well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Um,
You can
But
never predict injuries.
right. But looking at the bullpen, Tom,
Mhm.
this might be one of the best bullpens we've seen. And I'm not trying to sound like Dick Monfort here, to drink Monfort's Kool-Aid that he has on his desk at Coors Field. But this bullpen actually is not too shabby. And Tyler Kinley,
Mhm.
who had a really bad first half, really took control in the second half last year. Um, they're having him as the closer, which I disagree. I don't think he'll be the closer. Now he'll be definitely a late inning guy. He could be in the role for that closer spot.
Mhm.
But you had Tyler Kinley, you had Seth Halverson,
Mhm.
Luis Peralta, Victor Vodnik, Scott Alexander, who at first I was like, I don't know. But then I looked at his Coors Field numbers. They're really, really good with his numbers with the Dodgers, with the Giants. I remember Charlie Blackmon talking about him a little bit, how, lefty on lefty was so hard for Charlie to get a hit off of Scott Alexander. The guy, again, he's done well at Coors Field. And he's projected to be one of the better Rockies relievers
Mhm.
this year. In terms of WAR, he has a 0.2 WAR, projected to have a 4.12 ERA, 56 innings pitched roughly, with a K9 rate of, let me see here, 6.83.
Mhm.
So not too bad, not too bad. Well, I mean, he's not a huge strikeout guy anyways, but he does have a good arsenal of pitches. I really like it. And so I'm intrigued with Scott Alexander. Um, Maybe not high on him as much as some people are, but I do like it. Then you have Justin Lawrence, who I think we're all hoping for a big bounce back year for Justin, who is a follower of our Instagram page. Shout out to Justin.
Mhm.
Then you have Lucas Gilbreth, who is coming off of an injury, who we have yet to see yet in spring training, or maybe we have. I just haven't been paying attention. And then they have Tanner Gordon, which I don't think he'll be in the bullpen. I think he'll be a AAA starter for depth in Albuquerque. Um, is there any other names that like, oh, he'll be in the bullpen, like
Mhm.
that you have on your list? Because for me, Tanner Gordon's not going to be in that bullpen spot. I think it's going to be somebody else, maybe a Jaden Hill, even though Jaden Hill has been struggling a little bit this spring. I think Jimmy Herget, he looked really good today. He was carving the Dodgers hitters up today. I know it was younger players, but he throws strikes. I like his sidearm angle. I think the Rockies like it too. So I don't know. Do you agree? Do you have Tanner Gordon in AAA, and do you have Jimmy Herget in that bullpen spot for Gordon, or do you have somebody else?
Well, first of all, I gotta agree with Titus. I do like the Justin Lawrence new haircut.
Yeah.
I gotta say I like it. And also that goes in I'm not. It probably doesn't go in any connection with the Yankees new change to their hair and beard
Oh yeah. Yeah.
facial hair policy, which which thank goodness finally that need to change. And it's kind of funny how Hal
Yeah.
did it when you had a guy with you traded for a guy with one of the better looking beards in baseball, and Devin Williams. So he's got to now take his time to grow that back out. He
Yeah.
shaved, now he's got to grow it back out. But anyway,
Yeah.
so but yeah, Tyus, I do agree. I do like the new hairdo. I think he might even. I think he mentioned something about doing a little something with his beard, like doing a little kind of a little bit of a
Hmm.
groom with that, like a different style or something like that. But either way,
Yeah.
I think also just quickly to mention, going back to the rotation real quick, Ryan Feltner, of course, is the only one with options. Not that we would think about relegating any of the other stars to AAA, but just something to keep in mind. And going to the bullpen, the only three pitchers now who don't have any options are Tyler Kinley, Scott Alexander, and Justin Lawrence. All the other ones mentioned have options. Gilbert has two, Tanner Gordon has two, and then Vodnik, Peralta, and Halverson all have three. So I bring that up, of course, because guys get sent up and back and down because of innings. You bring a guy back up to cover these innings, you send him back down. So just something to keep in mind as far as ups and downs go. To be honest, I think I put the two leading candidates for the closers role would be Halverson and Vodnik. I'm not trying to just join a fit on the bandwagon. I was all in on Victor Vodnik last year. I was big on him. Hey, I was big. Go back and listen to early episodes. I was one of Victor Vodnik's biggest fans. I hope it's him. I know he had that one kind of tough closing situation. I think who was that against where he blew a save when he loaded the bases. I think that was against the Diamondbacks, I believe, at Coors Field,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But that was just one time. I'm in on him. I think I agree with you. Tyler Kinley is not going to be the closer, but the Fangraphs thinks he is. I think he's going to be either the seventh or eighth inning guy. I think also Justin Lawrence will be the sixth or seventh inning guy. Um, I'm trying to think if they're. Oh, I also am. Here's two guys I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to see more of Chivili. I
Yeah.
was impressed with him specifically when he had runners on in scoring position. He had a couple of good appearances where he really battled himself out. He put himself in trouble and he got himself out of trouble. And another guy, I want to see more of Jeff Criswell. I don't know. I like his delivery specifically and how it seemed if it's repeatable, it's kind of seems somewhat
Mhm.
deceptive. Again, I'm looking from behind him, not looking from the batter's box. So that's another one I'm going to keep an eye on. As far as it goes, this is one of the more diverse bullpens we've had in the last several years. So it's good to see that Bud Black has a couple of options as far as mixing guys in based on the late inning setup. Because again, hopefully he doesn't have to go to the bullpen too much. Hopefully the Stars do a better job this season at covering innings because, like I said, the only two guys that made more than 30 starts, more than 20, no, it was three guys that made more than 28 starts. But hopefully we can get more out of that though.
Yeah, yeah. That was it because I want to say Jeff Criswell wasn't he a top pitching prospect for the A's? I want to say he was drafted pretty high.
I'll double
Uh,
check. I'll double check.
because I want to say a couple years ago he was in the uh,
We
Arizona Fall League for them, and then
we
we traded for him.
yeah, or I think we picked him up.
Halfway for
They
yeah,
put him on waiver. I'll double check real fast.
because I feel like we traded somebody to the Athletics for him. I might be wrong.
He was it. Well, ironically, he was drafted by the Tigers first. He was drafted by the Tigers in the 35th round in 2017. In 2020, he was a second round pick by the A's out of University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. So he's an Ann Arbor
There you
guy.
go. Go in,
Um,
go Wolverines, baby.
well, I'm a Notre Dame guy, but yeah. Let me just scroll down to his transactions and double check.
Okay, so Titus actually says it was Teo versus the Dodgers, and I think he might be correct because that was the check swing, if I remember correctly.
Uh,
That was actually a swing by Teo um, when the Rockies blew that game. It was back in June, I think. So I,
oh,
I think
oh,
that's what you're talking about.
yeah. Oh, and also, we gave up Chad Smith to get him in December
Right.
6th in
Chad Smith.
2022.
Yeah, that's the name.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was 2022 trade.
Yeah, and I at the time I was like, okay, that's a decent trade, and I still think it is because Chad Smith, I don't think he's really sniffed the big leagues much. Yeah, I'm intrigued with Jeff Criswell, and they have options too. Again, you look at the
Mhm.
Fangraphs list. There's names here. Of course, a lot of them are young. It's not like old veteran guys. The Rockies, of course, they're on the younger side, but just looking at this list, I mean, in terms of starters, you have Mason Albright, who could be a decent guy to look at. You have Victor Juarez, he's on the younger side. He's 21 years old at the moment. Then you have Connor Stain, Case Williams, who it was funny because a couple years ago, well, I should say even more than that, when Jeff Bridich was still the GM, he traded Case Williams to the Reds for Robert Stevenson, and then when Bill Schmidt took over, he got him back. He got Case Williams back. It's just like Bill Schmidt was reversing what Bridich was doing. And I remember the joke was going around, can Bridich bring back Arenado? Um, so yeah, it was just that just brings a smile to my face whenever I think about Case Williams. But and Case Williams, this is a Colorado native that I think a lot of us were excited about. Unfortunately, it's been injuries, but also performance has not been great for Case, and he's I believe he's 23 years of age. So there's still hope there. I still like Chris McMahon, who is slated to be in Double A this year. Jordy Vargas is another guy to keep out for. He's in High A, or at least slated to be in High A this year. Jack Mahoney, he's another guy that I think Cade Denton, our guest from a few weeks ago, was talking about Jake Mahoney. There's a bunch of guys, man, and these guys could jump. I mean, Gabriel Hughes, man, last year in his first second no in 2023 he was in Double A Hartford at one point, I think in 2023, and then you talk about Dolander, who was drafted that same year, not the same year of Hughes, but was drafted in 2023, and here he is. He has a chance to be on the opening day roster heading into 2025. And it's great to see that the Rockies have pitchers that are moving through the system quickly, and they got guys. Again, it's great to see that, hey, we finally have pitching on the way here in Colorado, and it like we mentioned last week with Adam. You look at the 2017-2018 Rockies roster. You had a couple guys in that rotation that were having really good years. 2017 was John Gray, along with Chad Bettis, who was coming back from cancer. And then you had Tyler Chatwood, Tyler Anderson. And they didn't have all-star type years, but they were good. They were there when the Rockies needed them to win ball games. But you had Arenado and you had Story, you had Blackman, you had Mark Reynolds, who had a really good season in 2017. If for those who remember Gerardo Parra, who the baby shark,
Mm.
who I just miss that guy so much. The Rockies could use him, a guy like that, as a first base coach or a hitting instructor. Um, but it wasn't the entire lineup. Even though the lineup contributed to that Rocky season, you had a few guys that really carried the team. And looking at this Rockies lineup heading into 2025, they're young, but it's hopeful. It's not like, oh man, we're gonna have to wait another 5-7 years to see another Rockies prospect be good. And no, the Rockies, they have talent here. They have a guy, a Tovar, who led last year in doubles in the National League. They have Britton Doyle, who could have a really big year this year. Fingers crossed if he doesn't have a dip year to where he doesn't perform as much, or his defense falls off a little bit. But the Rockies, they have pieces there to win, and you really hope that it really happens this year, where the Rockies do progress and improve, and I think we're going to see that. It might not be the improvement a lot of us might be expecting or want, but I think we're going to see a team where we might win 68 to 70 games this year. And I think there's going to be some games to where the bullpen will give up a lot of runs in some games, but I think just looking at the overall picture, the ceiling of the bullpen, it's going to be it's really really high, and the rotation is probably the worst part of the team right now, just based off of what I see. But yet you have guys that have performed, that have done their job, who have done really well to give the Rockies wins. We talk about Austin Gomber, who had really good starts last year. I'll never forget the start he had in Oakland, where he pitched 8 innings. Right, those games are going to happen to where you're going to have a really good starting rotation outing, but the bullpen blows in. So you're just hoping that doesn't happen as much as it did this past year and in 2023. So um, as we wrap up tonight, I just want to say that I'm looking forward to this year, even though the names on the rotation might not be super exciting for a lot of Rockies fans, because there was a tweet I saw the other day. A Rockies fan was saying Marquez is still in the rotation. How old is this guy? We're kind of heading into a new direction of that rotation, or of seeing the younger guys play and pitch. But yeah, you still have Cal Freeland, who is I believe 29, 30 years old. Marquez is 29, if I'm not mistaken, 29 or 30. So some of these guys are still in their prime of their careers. It's not like they're 32, 33 years old. So they still have some gas in them, So, and I know there might be some people, and Lux is already putting out in the comments, that I might be drinking too much Kool-Aid, and I might be jinxing it a little bit. But no, for sure, I think there's definitely something that you can be excited about for if you're a Rockies fan. I know it's not necessarily the best time to do it, especially coming off of back-to-back 100 loss seasons, but I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to see from some of the younger guys in that bullpen, especially heading into 2025. So I guess for our thoughts for the Rockies rotation and the bullpen, the rotation, just get 5-6 innings, stay healthy, and then the bullpen do their job. And honestly, I think the mentality is going to be key for the Rockies this year. I'll never forget Clint Hurdle, who has said on multiple occasions, whether at conventions or at Fan Fest or whatever, he's told multiple people that, when he was the Rockies manager years ago, whenever he would talk to the pitchers, like, I don't care if you give up, a solo home run or 3-run home run, try to get the next out, try to get the next guy out. Don't dwell on what happened. If you have an inflated ERA of 6 or 7, so be it. It might not look good, but if you get the W, that's a win, right? That's what you want to do with this Rockies team, is to get wins. Don't worry about your ERA. Just execute your pitches. Rely on your defense, which could be one of the best we've seen in Rockies history this year. Again, knocking on wood. Not trying to get too excited here, but just pitch, go out there and have fun, and do what the Rockies pitchers used to do years ago. Don't worry about your ERA. Let the Rockies hitters do the job for you and win a ball game.
I'm hoping for a little more competitive play because I know that they had several struggles in late in the later innings. So hopefully they can see more consistency when it comes to holding on to leads. And I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but again, pitching out of the bullpen is tough. Being a reliever is one of the tougher positions in baseball because whereas a starter, you know when you're going to pitch. Reliever, you don't know when you're going to pitch. So one more guy I want to bring up. It's going to be interesting to see if Diego Castillo makes the roster out of
Hmm.
spring training. He is a former Rays Supreme product, I guess you could say. I say that because that's where he really rose to prominence as a member of the Rays bullpen. He has what I like to call a turbo sinker, where it really just goes in hard and just dips. And but we'll see how that goes. When it comes to the pitching staff, again, I'm hoping this year for more consistency. Last year there was a lot of inconsistency as far as from start to start or appearance to appearance. So if they could become more consistent with um not just of course their stuff but also location would be critical because as we know when it comes to pitching at Coors Field, you make one little mistake with your location, your control, the ball's going to hit a country mile into the Denver sky. So uh so yeah, that's just for me. Again, like I said, there's a lot of depth on this pitching staff. All it's come to as well is to see how it pans out during the season. And here's one of my predictions: we're not going to see Chase. I don't believe we'll see Chase Dollander this year at Coors Field. I just think, I don't know. Maybe I could, again, prove me wrong. If Chase Dollander, if you hear me, prove me wrong. If you make it this year, I really am looking, I'll be excited. I will tune in for sure. But, because more I think about that in my head because the gap between Double A and the majors is closing. And again, we'll have to wait and see. But if he makes it this year, that would be quite a huge injection of adrenaline, let's say, into the veins of Rockies fans.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Dolander, I would really like to see Dolander versus Noah Schultz in the spring breakout game. That would be
Or
electric. And I know a
I
lot of fans would joke and
or
do
Hay
whatever stuff on social
or
media, but
or Hagen Smith. That'd be another one
Hagen
too.
Smith, that's another one. And
But
so
yeah, no,
yeah,
but
it's in a
perfect.
couple weeks, right? I think.
It's in a week or week and a half.
Yeah, and I hope that's televised. It better be televised.
Let me check real quick. I know we don't want to stay on too long. But I
Right.
can check real fast. Let me check.
Yeah, I think last year's was televised. I think the Rockies televised it, and I think it was great to see Major League Baseball bring spring breakout into spring training because not a lot of people know about these prospects, and we want to see minor league baseball grow. We want to see more eyes on that because it's a lot of fun. I mean, again, shout out to Blake Street Banner who not only covers the Rockies but do the minor league coverage. They do an awesome job over there, and minor league baseball is fun, man. So there's always something to look forward to. It's very unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. It's different than the big leagues, that's for sure. And but yeah, that's I think it's great that Major League Baseball is doing spring breakouts so that more eyes go on minor league players and minor league baseball.
So real quick, for the Rockies broadcast, they haven't announced yet, but for the White Sox, Chicago Sports Network will be broadcasting the game, so I'll be able to watch it at least because that's a regional network. But as far as Rockies, it would be nice if it's a nationally televised game, but probably won't be.
Yeah.
Or was it last year or no?
Yeah, it was last year. I remember
I
the
missed
Rockies
it.
broadcasted it on their TV thing, and yeah, I just
Oh,
remember not a lot of people went to it. I remember seeing the stands were pretty much empty, except maybe a few scouts and maybe a couple fans. But yeah, I just wish that more people were watching this or going to the games because it's fun, and I think it's great to see more people with their eyes on minor league players. And I do like this comment from Evan, and it looks like he's a Notre Dame fan. How about them Rockies today? They sure dodged that one. That's a good one, Evan. I like that. That's a good one.
That's definitely a quote we can use for some of our victories.
Why didn't
against
I
the
use
Dodgers.
that today when we were making the graphic, Tom? Why me?
Hey, during the season, let's use it. If you didn't mind, if we could use it during Rockies wins against the Dodgers during the season.
Yeah, there you
Because
go.
hey, we got to take it as much as we can. We got to take it we got to give the defending champs as big of a beating as we can.
Well, Evan, you got one of these guys on the podcast is a big Irish fan. So there
That's
you go.
me. That'd be me, Evan. Evans, feel free to follow me on Twitter /X.
Yeah.
Or sorry, forget the Twitter part. Just say X right there. My tagline is underneath my name on the screen over there.
Yeah. And Tom and I, we were talking this, right before we started. Like, if you want to follow me on X, just go ahead. I mean, I'm not super active on X whatsoever. If you want to follow me on Instagram, whatever. I mean, I'm the guy that runs social media for Rockies now. So if you want to
Mhm.
talk to me, just do that. Um, but yeah, no, it's gonna be awesome. Over the next few weeks, we got a lot of fun stuff coming up for the Rockies, but also for Rockies now. Again, like we were talking about earlier, we got some fun podcasts coming up. We got, I think, Lewis in the next week or two from Blake Street Banner. He'll be coming on. Then we got a predictions podcast coming up, and maybe another one or two more before we do um, our season preview right before
Mhm.
opening day, and then we'll jump right back into our Rockies recaps. This will be the second year of Rockies recaps. We're looking forward to it, and this time we'll have Adam on. And of course, when that happens, you'll see what's going to go on. Of course, we're busy with work as it is with other hobbies and jobs, but we're looking forward to that. So stay tuned for Rockies Now content. It's going to be coming out hot. We've been, again, pretty busy. Of course, now with the baseball back into the schedule, we've been posting the lineups and final scores. But if there's some content that you like to see, or some polls or just questions you'd like to ask the fans, let us know at Rockies Now on Instagram, X, and Threads. If you want to listen to our podcast, we're available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We upload every once a couple weeks. We're going to upload our previews all into one big, not episode, but one package, if that makes sense, so that you can listen to it all in the same day. So that might be the reason why we've been getting some comments saying, "Hey, I haven't seen your podcast on Spotify over the last few weeks." Well, we're holding the other episodes until we come out with the player previews all at once. So that should be coming out soon. But yeah, stay tuned for Rockies Now content. Again, thank you all so much for 6 amazing years of Rockies Now content. It's been fun, and we're looking forward to the next 6 years plus of Rockies Now content. We're growing this thing. We're excited. We actually have some people that are interested in joining the team, multiple people, in fact. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up in the future for Rockies Now. So you're going to want to jump on the train, folks, if you haven't jumped on already. So let's build a fun Rockies community together. And if you're interested in helping us cover Rockies content, if you want to be a producer on the podcast, or if you want to, hey, be a journalist at Coors Field and write for us, and being able to go to the Rockies dugout or clubhouse and do that, that would be great. We would love to have you on the team, and we're really hoping to grow this thing. And like we mentioned, and I guess we'll you know give a somewhat of a sneak preview. We'd love to, as Rockies Now, we'd love to go to baseball games down in spring training, or to Coors Field, and do shows live from there, and talk to the fans, and do live interviews of you, the fans, and have the opportunity of you guys coming on the show, because we want to hear you speak. We want to hear your thoughts as as Rockies fans. So we're looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and so make sure you jump on the Rockies train with us. Big shout out to Titus, Lux, and Evan for coming on in tonight into the comment section. Make sure next time, whenever we go live, make sure if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, make sure you leave the comments down in the sections right below the video. And of course, we have I'm probably butchering this name, but we'll just call him Silva. Silva, thank you so much for being in the comments. And if you have any questions, let us know. To answer your question about Anthony Molina, I think he's very intriguing. The Rockies got him last year out of the Rule 5 draft. I think there's still room for him to develop. His command is a little bit off. He's been struggling a little bit this spring, but I think there's definitely something there that the Rockies can build off of. I'm intrigued with Anthony, but I think he'll most likely be a starter in AAA. So I hope that answers your question, Silva. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up tonight for tonight's edition of the Rockies Now podcast. Again, if you don't follow us at Rockies Now, make sure you follow us at Rockies Now on Instagram, X, and Threads. We just recently passed over 800 followers on X. We're climbing up there. I think we're gaining on 5,000 followers on Instagram, and then Threads, we're over 1,000 followers over there as well. So we're growing, people. Maybe not as fast as some other big media outlets out there, but we're growing, and that's the good thing. That's the big thing. So we love you all. Thank you so much for your support. And we look forward to our next episode when we get to hang out with you all. On behalf of Tom and myself and Adam, we want to thank you for watching this edition of the Rockies Now podcast. And as always, go Rockies.